Alright, this video is going to go over reactions. If you remember, reactions was something that most of you kind of picked up on pretty good. The only thing we had trouble with is when we start talking about the balancing of the equation, so we'll go through that again too. So let's go ahead and start with the different types of reactions. So decomposition is where you have one thing break into two or more products. And so we had a sample equation and we said something like AB might break into A plus B. Okay, so in that little video that we had with the Simpsons, it was like not Simpsons, the Flintstones, they broke apart. All right, synthesis means you have two or more come together to make one product. And so you had like A plus B gave you AB. Single replacement, so one element is replaced by another. So you would have something like AB, and then you'd have C, and so then A would get bumped to the curve, and B would be sitting with C. Okay, and then double replacement is where we talked about they swapped their partner, and so whoever they started with in the reactants, they ended up with someone different in the products. So you might have AB and CD, and you might end up with AC and BD. Okay, now I've been using some words that I just realized that maybe some of you might have forgotten. So with that being said, real fast, let's look down here. If you have this equation like A plus B and you're going to get CD, the things on this side is what I've been referring to as the reactants. It's what you start with. And the stuff over here, they are your products. That is what you end with. And remember, I always said in class that your arrow is going to point to the product. Okay? Alright, so then the last one I wanted to talk about was combustion. This is the one that didn't have one of those little funny things where we could talk about, like, you know, getting a new dance partner or somebody going home with somebody else or whatever. Combustion, this is basically where you're burning a hydrocarbon. And so you can have some sort of CX, HO, whatever, or HY, I don't know why I put O, okay, and then OZ or whatever, some combination of that, and in the presence of oxygen, and you're going to make carbon dioxide and water, okay. So whenever you saw carbon dioxide and water produced, you knew that you had that combustion. So remember, decomposition, this is where we did the elephant toothpaste. Synthesis is where we did that burning of the magnesium ribbon. Single replacement, we did one where we pulled, remember, the silver onto the copper wire. Double replacement is where we had that like glob kind of form inside of the graduated or test tube. And then combustion is where we put the alcohol onto the dollar bill and it burned. Alright, so then the other thing that we had was the balancing chemical equations. And so in order to do this, you have to write down what you have on each side, and then you have to get the numbers essentially equal. So I start out with 1 calcium and 2 oxygens, and over here I have 1 calcium and 1 oxygen. So the first thing I notice is that oxygen is not balanced. So remember, we put a 2 in front, and so now I have to say 2 times the 1 calcium to make me have 2. 2 times the 1 oxygen makes me have 2. So oxygen's happy, but calcium isn't. So I go and put a 2 in front of the calcium, and now I'm balanced. Okay? Because two things came together to make one, we could also call that a synthesis. All right, here I have nitrogen and hydrogen, nitrogen and hydrogen. I start out with 2 and 2, and I start out with 1 and 3, okay? So the first thing I have to think of is, well, putting a 2 there isn't really going to help because I got this odd number. So I have to think, what is it that I need to be able to do in order to make this solvable, okay? So I need to think about having 6's to make something get a 6. So I want to put a 2 here, and that's going to give me 2 nitrogens. 2 times 3 is 6 hydrogens. And so how can I get 6 hydrogens over here? I can put a 3 there. 3 times 2 is 6. I already had 2, so that's balanced. Once again, 2 things came together to make 1, so that would be synthesis. Okay? All right, last one I have for you is an example. I have copper and oxygen and carbon. I have copper, oxygen, and carbon. Always make sure you kind of keep them in the same order so your numbers don't get misaligned. I have 2 coppers to start with. I have 1 oxygen and 1 carbon. I have 1 copper, 1 carbon, and 2 oxygens. All right, so I have to think, what in the world do I want to do to try to make this balanced? Okay, so if we say, okay, I want to get the same number, the same number of oxygens over here. Let me put a 2. So now I have 2 times the 2 I already have. I have 4, but 2 times 1 is going to give me 2. All right, well, now I need to figure out how to get, these are good, I need to get 4 copper, so I'll just pop a 4 here. And now I have 4, and it's balanced. All right, here I have copper bound with oxygen and a single carbon. Here I have a single copper with carbon with oxygen, so here I would have a single replacement. Okay, once again, you'll have a practice activity with this, and if you have any questions, feel free to ask.